Good evening. Today, the 30th of August 2023, to present Camnet News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. The top stories in the news tonight: gold scam suspect SHADRECK KASANDA rearrested before court appearance. FDD leader EDITH NAWAKWI arrested in connection with the abduction of the HATEMBO siblings. The state agrees to compensate 5 of President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA'S aides 6.4 million kwacha each. In international news, Gabon's ousted President Ali Bongo Ondimba asks for help. And in sports news, Green Buffaloes and Double Action Ladies play to a 1-0 draw in COSAFA qualifiers.
Hello, Camnet TV viewers. I am your pastor, Pastor Chiluba. This week, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, my wife, Pastor Victoria, and I will be joining Dr. Francis Miles and Pastor Nwaka of the Living Waters and Pastor Jeff. The conference will be at the Living Waters Church in Uzakile, next to the BP filling station and also Uzakile Police Station. You must come for this Courts of Heaven conference. My wife and I will be delighted to see you. May God bless you, and may the Lord keep Zambia. Bye-bye.
Now come the television news in detail. Yango drivers Wednesday afternoon staged a protest at the burial of their colleague Nicholas Chishimba, who was gruesomely murdered by unknown criminals in Lusaka's Kabwata area. Online Taxi Drivers Association coordinator Pastor Charles Kaela says it is unacceptable for human life to be lost in such a manner. The drivers who gathered for the burial of Nicholas Chishimba urged President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA to fire the transport minister for allegedly neglecting the plight of drivers. More in this report.
There's no way as drivers we pick clients without putting the name. We don't know where we take clients. We are pushed to work even in areas where we are not secured.
Yes. These are online taxi operators who attended the burial of their colleague who was murdered by unknown people in Lusaka. These drivers are unhappy with the manner in which their colleague met his fate.
Ministry of Transport and Logistics, we are here saying we want justice to prevail for Nicholas. We will never rest. Nicholas, comrades, we won't rest as Yango drivers.
While mourning their own, tempers rose, leading to them demand for the dismissal of Transport and Logistics Minister Frank Tayali, as they claim only questions than answers surround the death of their own.
We petitioned the local government. The minister told us when we expressed, I remember I was the one reading the statement to the minister, telling him that our friend was shot twice in the thigh. The minister was so openly to say that you can leave the app without
now started losing people like this. Somebody being killed like a chicken, even a chicken will kill it in a mannered way. Please, Mr. President, if the way you say you are the president for the people, be the president for the people, and not be the president for your ministers alone. There's no way you can allow a foreign country there to come and mistreat your children in this land. We've been crying, you've been quiet. We haven't heard you replying anything. Whenever you are operating, somebody's booking you. And whenever somebody's booking you, there's a record that side. So Young wasn't released to know which what was which one is the last order he received, to whom, where was he going. We just know to say he was killed in Kawata. From where, we don't know. Who booked him, we don't know. We want that kind of information to be released. We give them 3 days.
Cannot be dying like chicken. See Chishimba. Chishimba is gone. We are here. Tomorrow it might be me. The other day it might be the client. We are not safe at all. And if this Yango thing cannot comply to our demands, please, let them leave this country.
Mr. President, if you are listening to me, of which I know that you will be able to watch this video, these are the youths who voted for you, sir. We are appealing to you. Yango will take us nowhere in the name of cheap rides, but we are losing lives. So we are kindly request you, Mr. President, sir, to intervene in the matter and let the online business be regulated. Let there be sanity in the business.
On the other hand, family members are short of words as they cannot believe their own has gone mysteriously.
Asking Jehovah to give me the courage. You were in my home for 11 months. Until today, Jehovah. Mweova ngafweni. Ndero mbokutira mweka bumba wa milalo. Amenso yenu yaba paliponse. Tayaba ya afisa mamwe Jehova. Onso waikete kumwana wandi. Nalomba vyompashi wenu wa mshiro. Let your will be done. Let your will be done.
Meanwhile, Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale says investigations into the cause of Chishimba's death are still underway.
On my table, we don't have anything. As it is, officers are still investigating.
Nicholas, 38, leaves behind a wife and a son. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Some Lusaka residents have expressed divergent views over President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA'S assurance to address high meal prices in the country. One of their concerned residents, Isaac Chanda, tells Camnet News that whilst the economic situation is biting, he believes with faith that the head of state will address the situation. However, governance activist Wesley Mianda has urged the government to sacrifice some maize under the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, and give to the Zambia National Service to produce meal as an immediate measure to address high prices on the market. More in the following report.
Some Lusaka residents have reacted with mixed feelings to President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA'S assurance that meal prices will stabilize in the near future as government is working at increasing maize production. In his continued week of activism to mark 2 years in office, dubbed turning challenges into opportunities, the head of state was in Lusaka's Mandevu constituency, where he took part in a cleaning exercise at Pata Level 1 Hospital before launching the sinking of a borehole, the first of the 7 to be sunk by the first family in all 7 constituencies of Lusaka in Mpurungu Ward at Kabanana Secondary School. Addressing scores, the head of state acknowledged high minimum prices in the country.
Solution ya bunga si kulibe inangu other than kuikira mutengo wa bwino kuma farmers so that they can grow more maize. When they grow more maize, we can now lower the price of meal because we have a lot of maize.
Reacting to his sentiments, some residents in Lusaka have shared their views on the matter, with Isaac Chanda believing the head of state with faith.
Promises were made regarding the economy of the nation, especially to do with the prices of mini meal. The president promised that things will be well sooner than later. What we can only do as the citizens is to accept that by faith. Since he's the leader of the nation, he knows how things are run economically. So he knows well.
Another resident, Mwamba Mpeka, is however of the view that fuel prices should be reduced if high minimum prices are to be addressed.
How is he going to do that? Because fuel, if he works on the pump price, then if once the guy fuel. So fuel every monthly review.
Whilst appreciating government's resolve to address high minimum prices in the long run, governance activist Wesley Mianda has urged government to find an immediate solution to the matter.
We have FRA, which is busy buying maize, and it has even bought more. Let this government die a little by sacrificing part of that maize to give it to Zambia National Service, Zambia Correctional Services, and these institutions should be given more, milling plants to produce more milling milk, so that the market is flooded.
For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Opposition Citizens First Party leader Harry Calabar has challenged the United Party for National Development UPND to stop intimidating the opposition. Mr. Calabar, who addressed the media in Lusaka Wednesday, says despite Zambia being a signatory to many human rights conventions and protocols, opposition leaders have continued being arrested and detained under what he terms as frivolous charges and subjected to intimidation as a means of silencing them. The CF leader says the opposition shall not be silenced and will continue to mobilize and work together as a united front until they rid the nation of any form of repression. Meanwhile, Mr. Calabar says they expect government to ensure that the same standard that Dr. Nevas Mumba prescribed for Zimbabwe will prevail in Zambia in all by-elections right through to the 2026 tripartite elections. More in this report.
These are the views of some Lusaka residents who gathered at the Citizens First Party Secretariat, where their leader Harry Calabar was scheduled to address the press.
Muziko tavutika mwanjini aziva youth ina madiploma pano nimbeni mikamba ina madiploma nibe nchito vunga 304 simkwanisa
And Mr. Calabar, in response to some of the concerns, has challenged the UPND administration to address the high cost of living and youth unemployment, which has continued to affect many lives.
The Citizens First is concerned with the levels of poverty that the citizens have had to endure. We have seen families having 1 meal a day, while others cannot even afford a meal a day. And yet the cost of essential commodities has also gone beyond the reach of the average citizens, while a few politically connected individuals continue to dine in opulence. The disparity between those who have and those who do not have is so wide that if not addressed, this has the potential to threaten the peace of the nation.
Meanwhile, opposition political parties in Zambia have continued to cry foul over what they term intimidation from the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, with the latest being the Patriotic Front, whose planned rally was stopped on security concerns. Mr. Calabar has however told the UPND to stop intimidating the opposition, further stating that the opposition will not be silenced but continue to mobilize and work together as a united front until they rid the nation of any kind of repression.
It is important for those in government to realize that the continued intimidation of perceived political opponents will not slow down the opposition, but rather it will serve as a catalyst that will help opposition parties to set their differences aside and focus on kicking out this repressive government in 2026.
Mr. Calabar, on the other hand, says opposition leaders are happy that President HICHILEMA sent former Vice President Dr. Nevas Mumba to lead the SADC election observers in Zimbabwe, and says it is the expectation of the opposition political parties that the Zambian government will also ensure that the same standards that Dr. Mumba prescribed for Zimbabwe is what will obtain in Zambia in all the by-elections right through to 2026 tripartite elections.
It is therefore our expectation that the Zambian government will also ensure that the same standard that Dr. Mumba is prescribing for Zimbabwe is what we obtain in Zambia. In all by-elections, right through to the 2026 tripartite elections, to avoid what transpired in the Kwacha and Kabushi by-elections, where some candidates were disenfranchised.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A historian at the University of Zambia is calling upon the traditional leadership in Zambezi district to dialogue and find a lasting solution to the historical conflict. Professor Bizek Piri says the conflict between the Lunda and the Luvale-speaking people can only be resolved if the traditional leadership in the district opts to dialogue. Fierce tribal conflict has erupted between the Lunda and Luvale-speaking people, where police have recorded 25 different cases ranging from assault, malicious damage to property, arson and unlawful wounding, with no arrests made so far. More in this report.
These are some pictures emerging from Zambezi district in northwestern province, where fierce tribal conflict has erupted between the Lunda and Luvale-speaking people. According to Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale, 25 different cases ranging from assault, malicious damage to property, arson and unlawful wounding have been recorded, with no arrest made so far as of today, August 30th, 2023.
The Inspector General of Police has dispatched paramilitary officers to the district in order to reinforce officers in the district in maintaining law and order. At the moment, the situation is reported to be calm as police have intensified patrols.
Mr. Mwale further says sporadic cases of violence continue in some areas. The general situation is reported to be calm as police patrols have been intensified in the district. Historian at the University of Zambia, Professor Bizek Piri, says dialogue between the traditional leadership in the area is the only solution to the conflict.
For a long time, for some reason, the Luvales and the Lundas have always had conflicts. The solution to that lies with the people themselves. Government, as we have seen now, because of the conflict that has arisen, it's not clear. I don't have the information, concrete information, as to what led to the current conflict. Even if the government has sent the police to try and broker peace to separate the people, but at the end of the day, when the police move out, will the people themselves live at peace? They can only live at peace if they agree to live in peace and agree that there are these issues. How do they come up with the boundary? But the question is the boundary. If they cannot resolve amongst themselves of what the boundary, the government cannot force a decision to say, Luvales, you end here, and the Lundas, you end here.
The Lunda-Luvale conflict dates back to colonial era, and all successive presidents have failed to resolve it. One would wonder why the conflict has been difficult to resolve. After all, we are one Zambia, one nation. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Police in Lusaka have formally charged and arrested Opposition Forum for Democracy and Development FDD President EDITH NAWAKWI for the offense of abduction contrary to the laws of Zambia. According to Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale, the suspect, while acting together with others unknown, is alleged to have forced Feluna HATEMBO and Milton HATEMBO into confinement against their will at different lodges in Lusaka after deceiving them that she was going to help them. He says the suspect has been released on police bond pending court appearance. Speaking shortly after being released at Woodlands Police Station, Ms. NAWAKWI wonders why police officers raided her house early morning despite informing them of being unwell. Here's a report.
The story of the HATEMBO siblings is a dominant one that has been part of the country's political landscape, but in the latest turn of events, police have arrested and charged Opposition Forum for Democratic Development FDD President EDITH NAWAKWI for the offense of abduction contrary to Section 253 and 256 of the laws of Zambia. Deputy Police Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale says Ms. NAWAKWI is alleged to have forced Feluna HATEMBO and Milton HATEMBO into confinement against their will at different lodges in Lusaka between September 2020 and January 2021.
During the time of their confinement, the victims were not allowed to move, communicate with anyone, and do anything without her authority. This occurred between September 2020 and January 2021 in Lusaka. The suspect has been released on police bond pending court appearance.
Meanwhile, speaking shortly after being released on police bond at her residence, Ms. NAWAKWI questioned why police officers had to follow her to her residence in order to effect an arrest. She alleges that the police are panicking because she earlier informed the police officers of her illness.
Have run for election. So he was the interested party in Feluna not appearing in court. In fact, most of the videos aired by Milton and the sister consistently say that NAWAKWI was trying to force them to appeal against the judgment in the High Court which said Feluna could not prosecute her case because it was time-barred. Now, the appeal was to the extent that a fraud, a criminal offense, has now time limit. If you killed someone 30 years ago, you can't say, no, it's time-barred. That is a code file. So the code file of fraudulent acquisition of farm number 1921-24 will never die.
While questioning how she abducted the HATEMBOs when she was in Lusaka, the opposition leader claims that those alleged to have been human rights defenders have turned into government officials. She further alleges that her safety is compromised.
My life was at risk because they could actually crawl behind my back and poison me. None of you will know that actually this has been caused by some undesirable elements within the state. So I decided that I was going to seek medical attention out of the borders of the Republic. And therefore, I mean, against my will, I've never done that. But I have to do it because the environment is extremely, extremely hostile, where they're even posting that, well, we hope she comes back dead.
The case of farm number 1924 of Kalomo district has been dragging for some time, but Ms. NAWAKWI maintains that her interest in the HATEMBOs was part of her mission to gain information related to allegations of the then main opposition leader HAKAINDE's fraud in Lima Bank. Ms. NAWAKWI also maintains that her interest in farm 1924 was to confirm allegations that a property in the farm was alleged to have been mortgaged to Lima Bank. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACOD, has underscored the necessity to ensure police reforms that highlight the importance of intensifying police oversight in line with their mandate while upholding human rights. SACOD board member Humphrey Mwewa says the country still lacks proper policing. He says reforms must lead to a point where the police becomes more accountable and transparent in their operations.
Rather than just pointing out the flaws or gaps we see. After all, it is in the interest of all Zambians to have an efficient, effective and accountable security sector. Sometimes we also have to be honest and also openly appreciate the positives and reforms the police are undertaking, not just highlighting the negatives. This can give oversight institutions, whether state or non-state, a leading and important voice in shaping, influencing reforms. In the past year, we have been working closely on the Public Assembly's bill and looking at related areas of policing, namely the use of force. The use of force by security actors needs to be a sustained focus of our oversight efforts. We need to be better at identifying and analyzing cases where use of force did not meet the necessity. Proportionality, legality, and accountability principles.
Government says it will recruit more lawyers under the Legal Aid Board in order to increase access to free legal services by members of the public. Minister of Justice Mulambo Haimbe says the government is still aware that some members of the public, especially the less privileged and persons with disabilities, have difficulties in affording legal services. State Counsel Haimbe was speaking in a speech read by ministry official Davis Chikalia at the launch of police paralegal desks at Lusaka Central and Kawata police stations in Lusaka by Legal Resources Foundation. Legal Resources Foundation Executive Director Adrofina Bubala says the launch of the desks at the two police stations will curtail abuse of human rights of suspects through easy access to legal services. More in this report.
The Legal Resources Foundation, with support from German and the European Union under the Enabling Access to Justice, Civil Society Participation and Transparency in Act program, has established paralegal desks at Lusaka Central and Kabwata police stations in Lusaka. The paralegal desks are aimed at increasing access to legal services by all members of the public, especially the less privileged, children, women and persons with disabilities. Speaking during the launch, Legal Resources Director Adrofina Bubala says the launch of the 2 paralegal desks marks the organization's continued efforts in improving access to legal services in the country.
To this day, the Foundation has established 3 community legal desks, 3 legal services units, and 7 paralegal desks in Lusaka and Southern provinces, respectively.
Legal Aid Board, through Chairperson Humphrey Mwemba, says the launch of the desks supplements the efforts of the institution, which oversees provision of free legal services by government.
The establishment of Lusaka Central and Kabwata Police Station paralegal desks play a role of helping Legal Aid Board to achieve its mandate, as suspects in police cells are able to easily access legal aid lawyers and request for police bonds for bailable offences, among other things.
Inspector General of Police Raphael Musamba, in a speech read by Lusaka Police Commissioner Kreto Kanza, has called for establishment of more paralegal desks in the country.
Most of the poor and vulnerable Zambians currently have limited access to legal aid services at police stations. The presence of this desk at the police stations will surely promote transparency and respect for the human rights of suspects.
The cooperating partners, Germany and EU, have since pledged continued support in the area of enhancing access to justice.
Promotion and protection of human rights and access to justice have been and will be in future priority areas of cooperation between Team Europe, this is the European Union and Germany, and the Zambian government.
Minister of Justice Mulambo Haimbe, through a representative, Davis Chikaria, says government will soon implement the restructured Legal Aid Board structure to further enhance provision of free legal services in the country.
I'm sure you are aware that Legal Aid Board is constrained in terms of, lawyers. And part of, the reason was the limited establishment or structure. The government has approved that, and it is hoped that the Legal Aid Board will start employing more lawyers. This would definitely and greatly enhance the provision of legal services in rural districts where lawyers are not present.
With access to legal services in Zambia challenging due to prohibiting legal fees and lack of knowledge among citizens, such efforts should indeed be replicated to change the status quo. As it is said, justice delayed is justice denied. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
The state has consented to compensate Hamusonde, Hamaleka and 4 others 6.4 million kwacha each in a case they have sued the Attorney General seeking compensation over unlawful prosecution on treason charges. Mr. Hamaleka, an accountant, Lason Mulilanduba, Pistorius Haloba, both farmers, Wallace Chakawa and Mulea Hachinda businessmen have cited the Attorney General as the respondent. The 5 were arrested and charged with treason together with President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA when he was an opposition leader in 2017 for allegedly overtaking then-President Edgar Lungu's motorcade on the Mongo-Limulunga Road in Western Province. The quintet, together with President HICHILEMA, had sued the state in the Lusaka High Court after they were discharged from the allegations through a nolle prosequi. However, President HICHILEMA requested the court to stay proceedings in his respect after occupying office of the president. According to the latest update in the case, the state has consented to pay the quintet 6.4 million kwacha each as full and final settlement of all their claims. The consent order has, however, not been signed by the presiding judge, Pixie Yangailo. The Lusaka Magistrate Court has ordered a Drug Enforcement Commission officer, only identified as Chisenga, after lawyers representing gold scam suspect SHADRECK KASANDA that she be cited for contempt. Makebi Zulu asked Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chibweli to issue summons against the said officer after discovering that she allowed the accused to be taken by DEC officers to unknown destination when he was supposed to appear before court. SHADRECK KASANDA, who is appearing before court alongside 10 others on espionage charge, was Wednesday afternoon taken by the DEC officers to a unknown destination after arriving at the magistrate court. In an interview, his lawyer, Makebi Zulu, alleges that his client had been abducted. More in this report.
Lawyers representing gold scam accused SHADRECK KASANDA were Wednesday afternoon forced to solve a puzzle by establishing where their client, who was expected to appear before court, was taken. After spending a few minutes trying to establish his client's whereabouts, furious Makebi Zulu went back to court and requested that the Drug Enforcement Commission officers who took his clients away from the court premise be subpoenaed. The enraged counsel wondered why the DEC officers would go against the court's order and decide not to present the accused before court. SHADRECK KASANDA, a businessman who is appearing before court alongside 10 others on espionage charge, was ordered yesterday, together with his co-accused, to appear before court on the 30th of August 2023. But upon arriving this afternoon at the Lusaka Magistrate Court for his case, the embattled KASANDA was separated from his co-accused by DEC officers and taken to an unknown destination for further interrogation. After his counsel pleaded with the court that the officers be summoned, Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chibweli issued summons against DEC officer only identified as Chisenga to appear before court on the 31st of August 2023 and show cause why she must not be cited for contempt. And speaking shortly after the court session, Mr. Zulu alleges that his client has been kidnapped.
This is a sheer case of lawlessness on the part of the state. There is no way law enforcement agencies can come and abduct someone who's supposed to be appearing before court. SHADRECK is appearing by way of warrant. There was an order that he should be in court today at 14 hours. The act by the state to take him away from the cells and take him wherever they've taken him is surely unbecoming. Of course,
he also disclosed that information reaching him indicates that the law enforcers are planning to slap his client KASANDA with aggravated robbery charges.
Of course, we've been aware of attempts to have witnesses or to turn the witnesses to testify to the effect that he is guilty or indeed committed aggravated robbery, something that is intended to keep him in custody. They are aware that we made an application for bail, and they know that they put a flimsy certificate to deny bail, and they probably know where this case may be going. And to avoid all that, they decided to abduct our client. It is quite an abduction because there's a pending warrant, a court order to the extent that he should have been in court at 14 hours. The state had struggled to explain to the court why he was not around. Even when we brought the custody officer, the state was busy objecting, trying to suggest to us that they know something about this whole matter. Let KASANDA be given justice. Let the court hear the matter and determine it to the fullest. This issue of victimizing him merely because he managed to tell them the person who was involved at State House, it shouldn't be like that. Let everyone be subjected to the same law.
This afternoon, the case was set to come up for the state submission to give reason why the 11 accused persons in this matter must not be granted bail following their application made by the Director of Public Prosecution. KASANDA has been jointly charged with 5 Zambians and 5 Egyptians. The 11 were recently arrested by the Drug Enforcement Commission in connection to an alleged gold scam involving $5.7 million United States dollars, which was intercepted at KK Airport. The espionage charge that the accused are facing is contrary to Section 3A of the State Security Act, Chapter 111 of 2012 of the laws of Zambia. Allegations before court indicates that the 11 accused persons on the 13th of August 2023, whilst acting together, entered a protective place, which is the Kenneth Kaunda Airport, for a purpose that was prejudiced to the safety and interest of the Republic of Zambia. Miriam Kaemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
This is Camnet Television Main News. Join us for more news after this short break.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana. Banga kubunkire dad.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but SHADRECK General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that SHADRECK General Insurance has got you covered. SHADRECK General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free uninterrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
The government of the kingdom is the most powerful government in all of the universe. God appointed days and assignments for you to do long before your mother and father came together. So God spoke to Mr. Francis. The court of heaven is a very powerful place. It's a dimension in the spirit realm that my people can step into by faith and win battles against the devil.
There's at least 76 times where the Bible talks about that God is the judge of all the earth. So therefore, we're talking about the courts of heaven that is in the spiritual realm, not in the natural realm.
What God is about to do at Grace and in South Africa, I caught it. Therefore, what did I do? I believed. After I believed, I have announced. After I have announced, you and I are going to do what? Pray it into being in the natural.
The purpose of you knowing how to get into the courts of heaven and win the cases is not just for the sake of winning. It's for you to go to another level. To go to another level.
We have made prayer more complicated and difficult than what it is because we have not realized that this is a key element of our prayer life, that we pray that which were purposed so that grace can accompany and we can succeed and you can live a fulfilled life. And the heavens are pleased because that's what they fashioned us for.
We continue with the news. Government in Northern Province through the Food Reserve Agency FRA has paid 360 million kwacha to farmers who supplied maize to the Food Reserve Agency as at August 28, 2023. Speaking when he checked on the flow of payments at some banks in Kasama district in the company of Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson NAWAKWI, Northern Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Louis Mwape said that government is on top of things in ensuring that payments are promptly made. Mr. Mwape assured farmers that government has the money to pay all farmers and that the banks are on course in disbursing the funds to farmers who supplied the commodity. Meanwhile, Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson NAWAKWI says that Northern Province has a good liquidity as money has been pumped into the local economy of Kasama and Northern Province at large through the payment of farmers. And Cosmas Mwape, a farmer, commended government for increasing the purchasing price of maize from 180 kwacha per 50 kilogram bag to 280 kwacha.
The province has bought about 1,399,000 bags of white maize by 50 kg. And in terms of crop value, we have about 391 million, 968 to 80 million kwacha in terms of crop value. And so far, as a province, we have so far paid out about 360 million kwacha to the farmers within the province, and we have the balance of about 31 million. So as government, we are doing very, very well. And this is the 31 million which we are going to liquidate within a very short period of time.
Together is seeing a situation where here in the Northern Province, Kasama in particular and the province in general, as Northern, you have a good liquidity going on. For those that have worked for their money is there in the liquidity. What is missing here is the issue of tantame. There is no such money. Those days are gone, where people would steal government resources and tell you to line up and they begin to give you coins here and there and say, no, there's money in the economy. There will be no such illicit activities under this government. People will work and people will get their money.
Tuletotera sana obuteko pamulandu wa kutulundira endalama ono mwaka okufika pa kipendo kya 280 kwacha tuletotera ekine kimbi nakyo ndepera obutotero kuba bwonfi pamo nga babanki balatwafu okutukwisha okutupeera empya mu bushiku bwa leero bwonsi okulingana bafaamu okutuperere kindepera obutotero.
Some farmers in Mpika's diocese area are illegally demarcating and allocating land to unsuspecting members of the public without approval from the local authority. The local authority has since warned the farmers involved in the act that all structures built on illegally acquired land will be demolished. Mpika Town Council Secretary Samuel Musenga says the council will soon issue an advert for the development of the area that was previously a farming block under customary ownership following the release of 70% of the land to the local authority by Chief Chikwanda. Zambian for Unity, Peace and Development President Ronnie Jerry has condemned those opposing the coming back of Vedanta Resources Limited, claiming that they do not mean well for the country. Mr. Jerry says government has negotiated with other investors who wish to take over Konkola copper mines, but says all negotiations have failed as it has been established that Vedanta Resources is a rightful owner of the mine. He says those opposing the coming back of Vedanta Resources want the UPND to fail, thus advising government not to entertain opposing voices.
Want to condemn, or rather to take a swipe on all those that are condemning the coming back of Vedanta. We say these people are not sincere with themselves and they are not sincere with Zambians. We know that government has navigated other alternatives to see how they can be able to sort out this issue of, revamping KCM with other investors. And it has been established that there is no way KCM can run without the involvement of Vedanta, because Vedanta are the legal owners. So all those that are saying that the coming back of Vedanta is a wrong move just want this government to fail. And we want to ask this government to make sure that they close their ears to all those naysayers, and especially that these voices are coming from small political parties. They shouldn't be entertained. We as a consortium know that government is trying all it can to make sure that these mines are revamped, but I think it has taken too long. And last week we petitioned the head of state to intervene into this matter, because people are hungry, people want jobs, suppliers want to be given their money.
We'll take our second and final break. Join us for international sports news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Hello, Camnet TV viewers. I am your pastor, Pastor Chiluba. This week, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, my wife, Pastor Victoria, and I will be joining Dr. Francis Miles and Pastor Nwaka of the Living Waters and Pastor Jeff. The conference will be at the Living Waters Church in Uzakile, next to the BP filling station and also Uzakile Police Station. You must come for this Courts of Heaven conference. My wife and I will be delighted to see you. May God bless you, and may the Lord keep Zambia. Bye-bye.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
In our international news tonight, Gabon's deposed President Ali Bongo Ondimba has called on his friends all over the world to make noise while under house arrest following a coup in the Central African country. A video from an anonymous source shows Bongo distressed and making a plea for help. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
Gabon's deposed President Ali Bongo Ondimba has called on his friends all over the world to make noise while under house arrest following a coup in the Central African country.
I'm Ali Bongo Ondimba, President of Gabon, and I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world to tell them to make noise, for the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm at the residence and nothing happening. Nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise,
Military officers announced Wednesday morning that they were overturning the government in an apparent coup.
Sudan's military ruler, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, arriving in Egypt on Tuesday. It was his first trip abroad since the outbreak of fighting in April between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Burhan met with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to discuss his Egyptian counterpart's offer to mediate in the conflict. We're committed to ending the war and putting an end to this tragedy. We in the armed forces are committed to setting a real transitional period in order for the Sudanese people to consolidate the state through free and fair elections that enable them to decide who will rule. The meeting with al-Sisi came a day after Burhan said the regular army would vanquish the paramilitary force and never sign a deal with the group, and coincided with news of more deaths in intensified fighting in South Darfur state. The Sudanese armed forces are a national force and have no will to cling to power. They don't seek to continue ruling Sudan. While Burhan says he wants to end the war, he made no mention of possible talks. His visit to Egypt follows multiple diplomatic efforts to end the fighting and a series of failed US and Saudi-brokered ceasefires.
As events in Gabon suggest the end of Ali Bongo's 14-year rule, Libreville's partners have started to react. French PM Elisabeth Borne said her country was closely following the situation as she spoke to French ambassadors gathered in Paris Wednesday. Over the course of this year, you have been present as usual, and the action of the French diplomatic network has been marked by the response to several major crises, including the war in Ukraine and the coup in Niger. Now there is this situation in Gabon that we are closely watching. A group of military officers appeared on state television early Wednesday announcing there was scrapping official election results that had handed another term to veteran President Ali Bongo Ondimba.
The news are confused. I got the news this morning early. If this is confirmed, it's another military coup, which increased instability in the whole region. I cannot say more because I don't have more information, but certainly is an issue that will be put on the table when we will discuss.
Bongo was first elected in 2009 following the death of his father, who'd ruled the country for 41 years. The latest twist could prompt the EU to rethink its Africa policy.
The whole area, starting with Central African Republic, then Mali, then Burkina Faso, now Niger, maybe Gabon. It's in a very difficult situation, and certainly the ministers, today defense ministers and tomorrow foreign affairs ministers, have to have a deep thought on what is going on there and how we can improve our policy with respect to these countries. This is a big issue for Europe.
President Bongo is reportedly under house arrest with his family and doctors. He suffered a stroke in 2018. During his recovery abroad, a coup attempt failed.
Now, in our sports news tonight, Green Buffaloes and Botswana's Double Action Ladies played to a 1-1 draw in the 2023 CAF Women's Champions League COSAFA qualifiers. Double Action Ladies captain Lesego Radiakanyo scored the fastest ever goal of the qualifiers, heading home inside 40 seconds to hand her side the lead against defending champions Green Buffaloes. The Zambian side enjoyed more possession but couldn't do much with it in the first half. However, substitute Ziomara Mapepa leveled for Buffaloes soon after being introduced in the second half, leaving the game to end 1-0. As it stands, all the teams in the group have a point, making it an interesting fight to finish in the top two and earn a semi-final ticket. On that note, we come to the end of the news. Before we go, the headlines once again. Gold scam suspect SHADRECK KASANDA rearrested before court appearance. FDD President EDITH NAWAKWI arrested in connection with the abduction of the HATEMBO siblings. The state agrees to compensate 5 of President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA'S aides 6.4 million kwacha each. And in international news, Gabon's ousted President Ali Bongo Ondimba asks for help. In sports news, Green Buffaloes and Double Action Ladies play to a 1-0 draw in COSAFA qualifiers. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Genesis 50 verse 20. You intend to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Again, thank you for watching Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.